Little about me. I'm your presenter today, Chris Ekstrom. I'm a training captain in Cripple Creek Fire Department out in Colorado. I've got 10 years in the fire service, and I have been an emergency reporting customer since 2006 and a trainer with emergency reporting since 2014. All right. Some of our training opportunities, we've got our regional training conferences. We come out and we train, multiple people in a region. Good experience, 3-day training typically for that. And then we've got some on-site training. We can come out to you. You can get your department, maybe a couple other neighboring departments together, split the cost, share the cost there, and have us come out and see you. And we'll go through, typically those are 2 days. We go through a few things. And then also we do some online training, somewhat similar to what we're doing today with the virtual training. We can also send some online training your way. Some of the orientations for some of your newer customers might have experienced some of that. And this here is one of the recent regional training conferences we just did. One of the pictures of one of those. They're a lot of fun, a lot of learning there. Some of you that have been here before have probably been through something like that. What we do when we go through these conferences, these regional training conferences, is we like to start off with the essentials, and we just basically go through and teach everybody everything about the system and how to use each module within the system. Then we move on to integration. We start integrating some of those skills and really get the customers involved and the students involved, and really start working on how to use things and how to ask questions and everything else. And then we move on to lead ER, where we get to start doing some mini Metascrum things and start working on how to fix the system, or maybe some workarounds on how to fix some of your questions. So really good experience. If you'd like any more information or interested in those, keep posted and we'll let you know. You can always also contact customer support, and they'll let you know when those are happening. Any of the upcoming training that's going on, if you want to learn more about that, contact training@emergencyreporting.com. There's going to be a few changes to our regional training conferences, so pretty excited about that. Maybe more destination-themed stuff, and that's going to be happening here in 2014. So if you do have any questions on any upcoming training, or if you want to schedule some upcoming training, send an email over to training@emergencyreporting.com or contact customer support, and we can get you squared away. Couple of the things that are coming up here. We've got Rainbow City, Alabama coming up real quick here, November 4th through the 6th, Rainbow City, Alabama. Go hang out there with those guys. They'll get you squared away, get you trained up on that area. And then you've got Lockheed Martin, Fort Worth, Texas, December 2nd through 4th. And that's talking about those training conferences that we're doing. All right. I'd like to welcome the 18 new and upgraded customers since October 2nd, 2014. Welcome, and hope you guys are enjoying the product if you're upgraded. I know it's a great thing, some of these upgrades that are offered. Where to find the latest information? We've got your little bar right down here, and I'll hit the next button and it'll give you some arrows. You've got this little bar down here, and it's going to tell you what's going on, what's coming up, any of the virtual trainings that are set up, and also any system notes that are coming to the system. And then also, if you have any other questions or if you need any other information, you've got the support tab located right down here, and that'll get you into that support function. You'll be able to shoot emails over, get some contact phone numbers, that kind of thing. Also search some different training videos, knowledge base articles, things like that. It's a real neat feature. Click of a button, it's right there for you. Also wanted to mention the feedback.emergencyreporting.com. It's your voice. This is how emergency reporting likes to get out there and really incorporate our customers in the decisions and kind of the direction of emergency reporting as a company, and kind of what we prioritize and what we're going to take care of next. So get out there, check out the feedback.emergencyreporting.com. It is your voice. It does matter. Vote for an idea that you like best, or post an idea if you don't see one. All right. So today, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be spending a lot of our time in the incidents module today. We're going to do a brief overview, just kind of talk about a 100 level in the NFIRS 5.0 and the incidents module. And then we'll talk about exposures and how to document those exposures correctly. We'll also talk about mutual aid and what it looks like when you do a mutual aid call, so that you're not having to maybe fill out some of the NFIRS 100 level information as you start to put that on there. And also, whether you're giving aid, you're receiving aid, that type of thing. And then also maybe throw in some of the agency friends. We'll talk about some of that and how that can make life easier if you've got other customer or other neighboring agencies that use emergency reporting. And then we'll talk about, maybe I'll be able to get Tom on here. I'll jump him on here and show some heat map stuff. The account that I have is not really the heat map. It's more about, it can show us the number of incidents that have happened within the occupancies that you have listed within the occupancy module within your system. And then we'll finish it all out, run a few reports, and maybe if we have some time, ask some questions about different reports we can do. Concentrating on maybe some of the custom fields, and then maybe some of the some other reports, some of the newer reports that are talking about, some response times, turnout times, and things of that nature. Just give you an idea of what we're trying to do with all this information. So, all right. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here. Try to keep that quick, and we'll stay on topic. Again, if you guys have questions, just shoot them out there. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. And I'm going to pull this over here, and we'll get started. So today, as I said, we're going to spend a lot of time here in this incidents module, and we're going to get started there just by clicking there, jumping into the incidents. Now, to save time today, like I said, we are going to go through and do a brief overview, but I have already started a call here. It takes a little bit of time to enter some of this information, as some of you know that have entered this information and gone through this before. So, I've got a few of these things in here. When you first open up an incident, obviously, depending on what you code it, you may not see all these tiles up top. And, for some of you new users, we'll show what that looks like. So when you first jump in, it's going to go into your basic information 1. So if I, list this building fire as incident type 111, it's going to open up quite a few of these tabs. All right. If I don't list this as an incident type of 111 or any of the 100 series tabs, it's going to look a little bit different. So I'm just going to show you real quick kind of what we're talking about. And just for example's sake, we're just going to do this. So standard medical call on there. And you're going to see these tabs. There's a lot fewer tabs in here. So this is a little bit different setup. So when you open that 100, depending on what you choose here in this first basic info 1, that's going to dictate what shows up top here. So jump back down into my little report here. Just in case somebody was wondering why mine might have looked different than theirs. So jumping in here, obviously you're going to have your basic information. We know this, your shifts, anything that's red is required. And this is all set up within the administration module. They can set this up, make these required and not required within this first incidents tab. We jump down in here. Your incident number, obviously I've dated one a little further, and then your dispatch run number, that being a little different number. If you wanted to associate something to a dispatch, say your dispatches multiple agencies from all around your area, but maybe not just your agency, and you want to tie this report to that same dispatch run number, you could do that here. And again, if you wanted to use it in a different way, it's a way to customize your system for you and for you guys to use. So the next one here, exposure info and primary information, or primary exposure. This is where we're going to spend a lot of time today, and I did want to talk about this a lot. So this gets a little confusing. NFIRS 5.0, I mean, you're talking a 30, 40-page document to try to review, and it's a federal document. So if you guys are like me, it can be a little bit confusing. It's a lot like code. It's kind of up to interpretation. I know Tom and I discuss this quite often, trying to figure out how to code things correctly. It can be a little bit confusing. Everything is categorized here, and it's nice because you can hit the fire category, choose something here out of the 100 series, and scroll down through. Then it's going to jump into the 200. And if you're in your EMS calls, you just click there on EMS, and it's going to take you directly into the 300 series. Same thing if you're running some of those good intent calls or false alarms. Accidental activations of alarms, things like that. You can click on that and, it'll take you right there, save you a little bit of time. So That's where that is. And again, like I said today, just for examples, we're going to show a 111. Now, when we're talking about this incident type and this NFIRS 5.0 coding, this is something that obviously is dictated by the federal government and then also by each state. So each state might have a little different swing on things, a little different interpretation of how they want it reported. So state by state might vary just a little bit, but again, it's general rule of NFIRS 5.0 from the state level. One of the job aids that I like to use, and I'm going to show it for you, is this NFIRS reference guide. And what this does, when you pull up this NFIRS reference guide, and at the end I'm going to pull up a slide that shows you some of the websites that I used for some of these job aids, and you guys can do a screenshot of that, or look at it, write it down, however you choose to get it. But this is a simple list that's going to help you to look through some of these things. So obviously this building fire 111 that we used, we're looking at excludes confined fires 113 through 118. So if it's confined, that type of thing. And this just gives you a little bit more explanation than your first list, being down here. So that just helps you out just a little bit, something to tell you, what's what. And this isn't just for the 100 series. This is going to go all the way through, your 200 series, 300 series, so on and so forth. And I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of an issue. And you can see this goes all the way through everything. Talks about some of the differences in the medical assist and 321, 311, which I know is a big deal for my department. So just a little idea here. And this is all, you can typically find these by searching, Google search, NFIRS 5.0 reference guide. That could take you there pretty quick. And I just chose to use one of these EFO papers here out of Delaware State Fire Marshal's office. And, tends to be good help for me. So the other thing on this that I did want to mention is, when you first start out, and some of your submitters for your department, for you training officers or administrators, people out there that, train your users that are actually entering reports. We like to call them submitters here at Emergency Reporting. So those submitters can do a class, and it's a free class through National Fire Academy online, and they just jump on here, and it's a prerequisite for a few classes out there, and it, like I said, it is free. It's online at your own pace. You jump in here, and again, this will be listed at the end there, and you can go through some of these classes, give you a few 5 hours, I believe it is, 4 or 5 hours of training, especially if somebody's lacking some training hours or needs some ideas. You can do this, self-study. They can enroll to do the class there, or they can just download the files. They can just go through the course. They just want to read through the files. And this is going to teach them exactly how to do every single thing within the basic info 1, all the way through the information. The way our system kind of guides you through and helps you through the system, it's also going to teach you exactly how to load system, give you some practice on how to code certain types of calls. It's a real neat feature. Again, like I said, it's free. Just throwing that out there for some people, some ideas to learn, especially some of you newer users to the system, just to learn how the idea of what it was supposed to be done there. So, oops, I'm sorry about that. All right. So that's the incident type. Again, real quick and easy on there. We talked about those. Now, aid given or, and this is where we're going to talk about mutual aid. It's going to default to none. Again, it's red, so it's going to be required, but it's going to default to none. And then we can jump into our automatic aid if you have an automatic aid agreement with agencies around you. Given and received. Obviously, the fire was outside of your jurisdiction. You went outside to help someone else. That's going to be given. And then your aid received if somebody came to help you guys. Fire was in your jurisdiction, but somebody came to help your agency out. And again, it's red, so it's required, but it's going to default to none. So this can be skipped without actually adding anything into this field. So just for example, today we're going to say mutual aid was received, and hazmat released, again, defaulted to none, and any of the hazmats that you wanted to list down there. So. All right, we hit next and we jump back into the next information. And this is where you're going to get your questionnaire. Depending on what systems, what subscriptions you have with emergency reporting and what modules you've purchased, this may look a little differently for everybody out there. Patient care reports, if you wanted to track some patient care reports, if you had some medical calls, some patients while you were on the fire, you can do that there. And again, this civilian casualties, fire service casualties, Again, when you're documenting fire service casualties, the wording in this is a little confusing. It's talking about injuries to firefighters, not just like fatalities. And I know a lot of times we think of casualties as fatalities, but just a quick note on that, they are talking for NFIRS 5.0, casualties are injuries to firefighters. So one of those things, this is how that's going to be documented, and that's how that's supposed to be done. Again, more information there if you went into and did that Q94 class for the NFA down there. So that can give you a little bit more information on that, what I'm talking about there. And then here, down here, if you wanted to record information about people involved that weren't necessarily on apparatus, that type of thing, you can do that. Right here, equipment involved in ignition. If you clicked no, but then as you're going through the rest of your system here and you're entering your information, it moves this over as you need it to move over. So it is a pretty ingenious system. It kind of thinks with you and helps cover your back on that and, put the information where it needs to be. So if you start with no, it will move it as you start to put information in there. Just a quick side note on that. Any mobile property involved, and then fire suppression factors, and then if anybody was under the age of 18, that juvenile fire setter thing. And this is all stuff that's dictated by the NFIRS 5.0 criteria. And then we jump into this structure types. We've got, choose everything from this, presence of detectors, extinguishing systems, and then cause of ignition. A lot of them under investigation for now until we get our fire marshal comes out and the investigation gets completed. Then we'll go ahead and change this over. But I like to start them at cause under investigation when I start reports. So once we like that and we got everything where we want it, we can hit next and go into the next criteria. And this is one, again, where we can talk about the street address. You've got a couple new functions now with, your addresses. You can start typing in here and it'll, start filling out your address, give you a drop down once you have these inputted. And this is under your master street index. Or what I like to do, if the fire was at an occupancy, especially commercial occupancy that you have listed within your occupancy module, it's a really good idea as often as you can to use an occupancy address. And you're just going to start by clicking over here on use occupancy address and grab that right here and just click use. Again, this has to be entered. All your occupancies have to be entered within the occupancy module. But once you have them entered, you can click use, and that's going to tie this information on. You can see this is going to be occupancy ID 2, and the information is in here. What it's not going to list is the city code and county code. It's not required for every single person. States have their different requirements out there, like I said before. And it's not going to fill this information, so you are going to have to come back in and fill this type of information in here. It's also not going to fill, your zone. If you are using zones, you're going to have to do that. But everything above here, it's going to fill your lat and long on there, and it's going to fill your property use. It's not going to fill other things in here. So, like I said, the big thing is the city code and country code. Country code, county code there. You're going to have to come in and do that. So you just click one on here and click on where it is, and that's going to get you your city code. Not going to mess anything up top there. So property use is all on there. This cross streets, directions, national grid, if you chose to use that, especially if the fire wasn't exactly at this location, you do it in front of intersection, that type of thing. And then your map page, if you're choosing to use that. Mixed use property, if it is a mixed use property, you can select that there. And then we get into population density and census tract. Population density is very important if you're going for analytic. You want to use that in analytics, or if you're going for accreditation, 1710 and 1720 dictating, NFPA 1710 and NFPA 1720 for volunteers dictating, how long your responses should be, and that can change depending on whether it's urban, suburban, rural, or wilderness areas. There's a really cool table. Again, I've got a link to that table at the end slides here, and you guys can see that table, and that's just going to define what NFIRS 5.0 determines as urban, suburban, rural, and wilderness. One of those things that is nice to have and nice to see. So. And then you can track census tract. That's all for you guys to track on there on your own. So, preemptively hit the next button. I think this is a good point to kind of pause and see if there are any questions, and it looks like there might be here. On the county code, what is the difference with the CCD option and the code without? All right, it looks like Tom's on that. The CCD option, this is something, we'll let Sarah jump in and answer that. We're looking at that documentation on there. I know the CCD stuff, this is all stuff that's inputted from your state and entered into your system. So this isn't something that emergency reporting really has a whole lot of control over. But we're going to get you an answer on that right away. We've got the team on it behind the scenes. So I'm sorry I can't give you an answer right offhand because I don't know. I know with me, I have a CCD option as well. And for those of you that are wondering maybe what she's talking about, I'm sorry if that's, Jamie. And I'm sorry if you're not a she, I assumed. I probably shouldn't have done that. So what Jamie's asking here is CCD here. I've got 2 as well. And I'm not exactly sure what the CCD is. I just know we've never used it, and we're supposed to use Cripple Creek. And again, this is something that within our county, this is what has been given to emergency reporting and has been given by the state. This is how they want it coded. So for us, it's been a training issue. We just train everybody when they're using it to make sure that they use this first one and not the CCD option. But hopefully we can get you a little better explanation as to exactly what that is. But again, a lot of that information is going to come from your state and your jurisdiction to find out what you should be using. So, all right. Looks like the only question so far. And like I said, Jamie, we'll get that to you as soon as we find that documentation. We'll get that shot over to you, answer that question for everybody. All right. So on the next one here, we've got our basic info for here, and we've got when the fire was controlled, and this is going to be when you got control of the fire. You've got your today option, and then enter your time, and then personnel involved but not on our apparatus. If you wanted to track like police personnel, things like that were maybe on scene, or other people that were around, security guards that helped with evacuations, things of that nature, you could track that there. Pretty much everything else you'd want to add an apparatus for. So you just do that by clicking add apparatus, which I've already done. So we're just going to click on this one. One quick thing on this is, your apparatus ID, as you get these all put in, you're going to just click on it. Again, make it quick and easy. Lights and sirens, yes or no. Upgraded, downgraded. You've got your today option and yesterday option here. And then you can also click and fill the fields if you wanted to change anything. And then you've got your times. You could start a time, and you've got your fill dates and fill times. And what that's going to do is just fill your dates. Whatever's in this box is going to fill every single one of these boxes. And same thing for this. Whatever's in this box, fill every single one of these boxes. Now, what that's going to do is just give you a little bit of an easier time putting the times in. Trick that I like to do on that is use these fill boxes and then just start changing your times as you're going through, because typically your hours for most calls stay the same. On a fire, it's going to be a little longer. So if you want to get rid of something, say we don't need this for injury, we just hit the X, it's going to clear that entire field there. Again, anything that's red is required, and some of this can be changed within the administration module to customize to your department, and some of it is required by NFIRS and by your state. So on that, we're good. Now, one little side note, some of the accounts here, the end service date here isn't red, but if you don't fill it in, it's not going to allow you to complete the report. It's going to keep showing up as red there. Now, the reason for that is it is required by my state, and it is an NFIRS required field. And why it's not red, we don't know. I know right now the company is working on trying to change this. Emergency reporting, we're trying to fix this to make this red again, just to make it a little bit more straightforward. So a little note, it is a known problem to everybody, but we are working to get that fixed. Again, you've got some of these things. If you want to track your mileage, not required, dispatch location, that type of thing. This has changed maybe for some of your users that have been on the system a while. This has changed somewhat recently. You've got this new option to fill from a roster. So if you've created a roster for the day, and key to this is you have people assigned to a specific apparatus that you've used here, you can use the fill from roster function. And it will put everybody that's on this day for the time frame and assigned to this apparatus, it will put them onto this automatically just by hitting fill from roster. If you don't have a roster that's created for the day, or in my situation, these people are not assigned to a specific piece of apparatus, you're not going to be able to use the fill from roster function. Not a big deal, because you can still use it down here. It just saves a little bit of time, maybe makes it a little bit more user-friendly, a little easier. And then down here, we've got, add personnel below. And this is pretty neat because you can start typing in here, start finding a name, gets a little closer, clear that out. Make sure if you're not seeing what you need to do, you see the only thing I see down here is just that person. I click in there, I hit the X button while it's still not showing me what I want to see. I hit enter, and it's going to show everything again so I can see all the people I'm looking for. And again, if we want to search by ranks, we can search by ranks. Again, go back to all so you can see the whole list, search by shifts, that type of thing, so you can see everybody that's assigned to that shift, and so on and so forth. Stations, if you wanted to see all the stations you have listed with this in the system, makes it a little quicker. And then it's a simple plus minus, add somebody onto the system, take them off up here with the minus, add them with the plus. So once that's all done, you can hit the save and add another apparatus. And what that's going to do is just save you here, clear all the fields, save it into the system, and then allow you to jump back into here and just start filling information for, two pieces of apparatus if they showed up to the scene. It looks like we got an answer on the in-service field will be fixed and deployed next Tuesday. Thank you, Tom, for answering that. I was wondering about that, so I appreciate it. So for all of you that didn't read that or didn't catch that, it sounds like they're fixing that, and they're going to roll that out on Tuesday. Sounds like they found it, so that's good news. Also, all right, Jamie, thanks, man. I'm sorry. It's one of those names, and I apologize on that. So it looks like the CCD question got answered for those of you that are out there. It looks like it says the appropriate code for your agency's location by clicking the list box when the city code selection window appears. Narrow the search in your local state and county, then select the code that most closely matches your location. There may not be an exact match for your location, or there may be many duplicates, as this list comes from the federal census data and isn't always current. City code. All right, so city codes identified as CCD are census county divisions and usually apply in unincorporated areas lying just outside of the urban areas. So CCD would be that unincorporated, maybe suburban or rural area that's within the same county. So that's good to know. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for answering that question. All right, so I'm going to post that back over and get going again. All right, so as we're going through this, we just add the people. Now, once you hit save and add another apparatus here, it's going to take these people, and they're not going to be able to be assigned to another apparatus. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want to double assign them. So I can hit the save key. It's going to save it. And jump me back in here. All right. And like I said, I'd done some of this stuff before. Add another piece of apparatus, and again, once they're listed on there, we've got some people located there. So now we've got our truck on scene, our Quint, and everybody's there. So we can click on show all apparatus here, and then show only unassigned apparatus. Just gives us a different thing to show here. So all right, moving on to the next one. Again, I want to do a brief overview on this, so speed this up a little bit. We've got our primary action taken, and again, more information if you have questions about this on that NFA class, if you wanted to jump in and do that. And it'll tell you a few things here. So we're just going to do extinguishment by fire service personnel on this one. Again, it's listed out the same, so we can take us to our own category, so we're not having to search the entire thing. And then our property values, losses, pre-incident value. And a nice way to get to this is if you have your occupancies built, you can go back into your occupancy data and you can search that occupancy data and get your pre-incident value, that type of thing. And then if you have listed any contents, most don't. And you can click none if there are none on there. And then your losses, you're obviously going to have to wait for your investigation report to come in and work through that. Some tricks of the trade on that, but just any of those inspectors that are out there or fire investigators that are out there probably have some of this information. So, jump in, you're probably going to have to wait to fill this. But again, it's not required, but it is, we like to say good data in, good data out. The more information you can put in there, the better your end user information, your reports are going to be, the more accurate it's going to be for you. So going into the next field, and we've got estimated number of residential living units. You've got your box here because it is required, so you can do not residential. This was a commercial structure. Number of building involved, 2. Acres burned, none, so on and so forth. Area of fire origin, again, you've got your list where it was. And again, this is all NFIRS required information, so some of it may not be exactly what you're looking for. Try to avoid using others when you can, but try to pick something that most closely resembles what you're looking for here. And in this one, close it out. We use 62. This should have been a furnace room, HVAC room. And then your heat source was a furnace on here, item first ignited, housing, metal casing, things like that. Going through and using these lists. Again, type of material first ignited, difficult to determine on that, but get it close to exactly what, not exactly what you want, but close to the best thing that you can find on there. Then factors contributing to ignition on there. Mechanical failures. If you use a mechanical failure or something like that, you're going to want to make sure you document, your serial numbers, your model numbers, that type of thing. And it's going to guide you through that whole system when you choose one of those. And then any other second contributors, and then any human factors contributing. If you were thinking somebody might have done something wrong or it was more human caused than mechanical cause, you can track all that information here. All right, so again, because we used an equipment failure on there, this is what I was just talking about. Type of equipment, it's going to list it on there for you. You're going to get this drop-down menu, choose your type of equipment, and jump in brand, model, serial number, year, that type of thing. Then you've got your power source, whether it was wired and, how many volts it was, that type of thing. And then portable versus stationary on there. All right. Normal use or under construction, that type of thing, your heights, your main floor size. Again, a lot of this information can be gathered from your utility company. That's a good way. A lot of times those places, your building department can have some of that stuff. Look up census information, may be somewhat limited, but I know where we've gotten a lot of our information that we've needed was the utility company can give you a lot of the square footage and can give you a lot of the assessed values, things like that. Your assayer's office, they can do that as well. And then also your building department, if you have one, they can usually gather that information for you. And again, the trick to that and the key to that is if it's an occupancy within your jurisdiction, you can load all that information into there. If it's a residence, then obviously you're going to have to search other means, like I said, either the building department, assayer's office, or the utility company. All right. Story of origin, simple, straightforward. That's kind of what we're doing on that. And then your flame, your fire spread, whether it was confined to the floor of origin, object of origin, room of origin, building of origin, just kidding, not block of origin. I hope it's not that bad. One of the things we like to say. And then, beyond the building of origin would be your last option there. So then you got your percent damage, choosing that on that number of stories damaged by the flame, 1 story with 25 to 49% damage. And then on this one, we chose no flame spread or same material first ignited or unable to determine. So, at this point, we're not really sure that there's a whole lot of damage anywhere else. So we're going to click on this. You can always leave it open. Again, you don't have to answer it right now because it's not read. So it will let you go through. It won't let you finish the report until you answer some of these questions, but it will let you continue on through everything. Detector types all the way through. And then effectiveness, did it work, did it not work? Again, right here, you're going to see the only thing that's red here is the street and highway. And this confuses a lot of people because they don't always see this little box up here. If you're not referring it to an agency for arson investigation, you don't believe it was arson, you're not going to use it, just click on the little box up here and it's going to help save you a whole bunch of time. No sense trying to trick the system and enter any bogus information into here. Just simply click the box and it'll take you through. And for this example, we're not going to refer it to an agency. We don't believe it was arson. We're moving on with that. So now it's going to take you all the way through the arson. You can see everything's green, and I haven't entered any information within that system. So I don't need to enter anything. And again, to save time, we're just going to jump right into our narrative. Narrative, pretty simple. Type in whatever narrative that meets the cause, meets the fire, lets you know your agency's specific narrative information on there. And then you've got other agencies at scene. This is where you can type in, you know, your mutual aid, EMS mutual aid fire. This isn't what I was talking about with our mutual aid given or received. That's going to look a little different if we put mutual aid given on this one. This is going to be where it's going to go. And we're going to go back and do that in a second. But this is what it looks like if you have mutual aid received or none selected on that basic info one. The next one, once you get that information in, we hit next, we go into files. And this is a common question. Obviously, you know, we can add some pictures of the fire, some pictures of the unit, any of that type of thing. And another thing that I like to use the system for under files is our rehab. So if those of you that do rehab or have rehab on a scene, take your rehab forms and either, you know, take a picture with your, if you've got a cell phone, Android or iPhone, you know, and jump in and download one of the PDF apps where you can actually scan. I use Cam Scanner. It's just the one that I have on my phone. It's a free app. You can snap a picture of that and attach it to an email and send it over to yourself. And once you get back to the office, you can sit on here, load it in. If you're using a tablet and you're doing this on a remote function, or you've got a hotspot and you're using this on a, you know, or a tablet that connects to the internet, then what you can do is actually enter that file right here as you're doing the report. And it's a nice way to actually document and load. It's a nice way to document and load the information for that rehab. So just one of the quick things that I learned recently that I thought was a really good idea. One of the departments is using that. So the next one is your custom files, and some departments are using this, some aren't. Again, this is set up within your administration tab, and we've got a few things specific to my department that we use. One big thing that I've found pretty popular for a lot of people is the smoke detectors present and functioning, and this is more for us for tracking a smoke detector program that we do, more for when we run medical calls, we're tracking smoke detectors and what we have them there. And this is a really powerful tool. So if our system doesn't track something specific that's very, very specific to your department, then you can load those questions here. And then it's a really powerful tool. We can run a report to see the answers to these questions and see how often maybe we're running gaming-related calls, how often responding outside of our district to areas that aren't covered by any fire district, and then how often it's a wildland call, and how often we're checking smoke detectors and whether they're actually there, whether they're functioning when we're on EMS calls. Just one of those custom things. And then that'll sum it up, and we'll get to the authorized function here. And again, this is going to say, cannot, you know, it's going to give me a little notification telling me, oh, I didn't do something right. So I can click here and say, okay, this can't be before the arrive time. This can't be before my alarm time, 8 o'clock, and I can change everything and add it within the system. So, and I don't need to complete this out to get into the next system. So there's our brief overview, and maybe a little bit more than brief in some cases, but we'll stop there and see if there are any questions on this overview and this review, I should say, of the incident module and how to enter a basic 100 level incident. So give it a second here, see if there are any questions. And I don't see any here. So, all right, we'll go ahead and move on. Again, if you have questions, just shoot them out there, and my team will get through there and ask it and answer those as we can. All right, so what we were talking about today is we're filling out some of this information. The next one we're going to talk about mutual aid and automatic aid types of things. So we talked about this was received, and you saw what that looked like. Now I'm going to go in here and change this to mutual aid given. You know, we gave mutual aid. We didn't have an automatic aid agreement. We got a mutual aid agreement. We're going to go down and do that. So I'm just going to click next here. And you see what happened? It released all of that information. So now what happened was I had that report that before looked like this. with all of these tabs. And now that I've hit mutual aid given, or I could do automatic aid given, same thing, and I hit save or next, and now it looks like this. So now I don't have to give all the information that I don't necessarily have. That's the easy end on the submitters area. For the administrators out there in the state NFIRS folks, this is giving you information, and this is going to give you the ability to tie in this report that you're doing. So for my case, this is incident number 2014-2000 for my fire department or my agency, and it's going to tie this report into the other department's report once we input that information. So as I click on my times, I can load those times on there. One thing, if you're giving mutual aid, or especially if you're receiving mutual aid and you want to track if maybe another agency showed up before you did, because it was right on the line and they happened to just get there quicker, hit all the light screen, that kind of thing, what you can do then is just create an apparatus that's called mutual aid apparatus, or one of your local jurisdictions. You can actually add what their apparatus is, and you can track their times that way as well. It just helps give your system, just one of those tricks of the trade thing on there. It helps give you maybe credit for somebody showed up, just wasn't necessarily you before you did. And also another thing, you can add POV. If somebody showed up for POV and you wanted to get credit for that, you can add a unit that's called POV and add that in there so you can track times and who was in that POV, at least if they started command or started evacuations, that kind of thing. Just a quick, like I said, trick of the trade there. And then we hit next. And you see how I said before, this is your primary action taken. Now we've got aid given in this basic info 5. Now this list right here, mutual aid friends list. Basically, what this is saying is if you have under your administration tab, if you have departments around you that also use emergency reporting as their records management system, they can actually, as they do a report, now they have to do the report and complete the report before you can use it. When you hit that list, anyone that you share incident information with and you are agency friends with, you will be able to pull up their incident. Again, mind you that it's completed. They have to do it before you. They have to complete the report before you can actually use this function, I should say. Then you're going to be able to click here, and you would see a drop-down list of the departments that you were friends with that matched that date, that incident, and that date. So I would see maybe one of my local fire departments is close to me, Divide Fire Department, and I could click on them, and that would give me a list of their, give me a list, okay, click on Divide Fire Department, pick the report that I'm trying to tie it to, and then that's going to enter their FDID, their state, that type of thing for me. If you're with a department that you aren't friends with, meaning, you're not agency friends or they don't use emergency reporting, you're just going to have to type in their FDID. And you can usually get that list from your state fire marshal's office, whoever does your state NFIRS reporting. You can usually get their FDID from them, or you can just call that local department. And then it's got to, obviously it's going to be within your same state. So you're just going to load that information in here, just type it in. And then their state, again, it's going to be the same as yours. And then you're going to want to track their incident number. Again, if you're agency friends, it's going to track that incident number for you. If you're not agency friends, because you're going to be able to click on that if you're agency friends, so I'm saying. If you're not agency friends or they don't use emergency reporting, then you're just going to type in their incident number here. So typically it's going to be a 2014, whatever their incident number is. And what that's going to do is this is going to attach this report. So when you send this over, it's going to flag the state and it's going to flag NFIRS to say, oh, this is a mutual aid call. We need to attach this report to this report number so that there's not two separate reports going out for the same call. That's one of the big things I wanted to get across today, was talking about these mutual aid calls. And as long as you do that, that's going to attach the report, whether the other person has emergency reporting or whether they click on mutual aid received, automatic aid received or not in their basic info 1. This is going to give those people at the state and at the NFIRS level a place to track all that and a way to say, hey, we need to notify or we need to attach this report to that report. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of back and forth on there, but I'm going to go back so we can see some of these things. All right. So now, we'll give it a second here. Are there any questions on mutual aid given or received? And I apologize, I'm not going to be able to give a demonstration on mutual aid given or received through agency friends, because I'd have to have multiple people setting up agency, test calls. And I tried getting that set up today, and unfortunately the department I was going to work that out with, they had to run calls, but it's the nature of the business. So see any questions here so far? Nope. All right. Pretty quiet out there. Hope I'm giving you all what you want and, doing a good job here. If you have any questions, again, just shoot them out there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our exposures and how to track an exposure in the system. So from within the call, no matter where I am within this basic info tab or within the reports module, I can go in here and actually type on, I can go in here and type on exposures, and this is going to give me an exposure here. So if I want to actually add an exposure to this, I'm just going to click on add new exposure. And then I'm going to have to go in and put in some of these things. But the big difference, let me put this in here real quick and I'll show you. Whoops. All right. So you see the incident number is the same as the other incident number. So I can save it, and then I'll be able to give you some information. So it gives me all the fields again. So, every structure, if it's another structure that's an exposure, you're going to want to track it differently than the first structure. So that's why it's in there again. So now if I jump into my incidents module, it's going to look a little bit different when I open it than it did the first time, because I now have an exposure that's attached to it. So you see this, you've got your primary incident, giving it that 0, and then your 1. And that's going to be the best way to track your exposures. So if you have, your alpha exposure, Bravo exposure, that type of thing, you have a fire that wasn't necessarily contained to that building of origin, or you have an exposure that did have damage, you're going to report that here, and you're going to be able to track all that information. Now, it's not going to put any information from this first primary incident down into this exposure, because you wouldn't necessarily want that. It's a different, separate structure, separate fire. Your unintended or your point of ignition, things like that are going to be different. Your area of ignition, your type of material first ignited, that's all going to be a little bit different. So that's the reason for that type of information. And Tom just posted this on here. This is your exposures exposed, talking about blog.emergencyreporting.com. This is going to give you kind of a rundown on exactly how that works. That blog.emergencyreporting.com is a really, really neat tool to actually use as training. Send it out there and, have your guys look at it, especially the people that are putting these reports in the first end. So that's going to be guiding you through exactly how to do this, kind of what we're talking about today on your exposures. So, and again, as you're going through, you're just going to want to track all that information similar as we did the first time. All right, it's just going to tie that exposure into this same incident. And that's it for exposures. Are there any questions concerning exposures right now? All right. Not seeing anything there. So, all right, so now we'll talk about kind of my portion of the heat map. And I don't know, Tom, are you still on here, Tom? If you are, just go ahead and unmute yourself and jump in here, and we'll talk about the heat map with you.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Until then, I'm going to jump on to. I can. Hey, Tom, do you mind going over real quick and showing them the heat map? I don't have that ability on mine. Would that work for you?
I'll be glad to. Give me just a second to get that loaded up. Maybe one thing too, because I know we were talking about it the other day on the aid given. If you wanted to show them, like if they go and cover, remember how we were talking about covering another jurisdiction's area, not moving up in your own department, but moving to cover another jurisdiction's area? How you can document that, and then how you, what incident type you would use, and then how you do it in the aid given and received. That'll give me a minute to get everything loaded here.
All right. So what Tom was talking about here is, if you end up in an incident where you want to give aid to a department, and we'll use the same one again. I'm going to delete the exposure. All right. So within this is an incident type. So say if you're going to go over and you're going to help another agency with a fire, that type of thing, or not necessarily with a fire. Say they have a fire at their agency, and you got the dreaded duty of going in and just covering their jurisdiction and running the rest of the calls within their jurisdiction. What we can do is go in, and I'm trying to remember, it's 5 something here.
71.
Just have to find it here.
You got
there
it.
We go, 571. Yep. So right there under 571, we can hit cover assignment, standby, or move up. Well, now you're going to cover that agency while they're fighting the fire and maybe having all the fun on their end, and you're covering them for medical calls and rescue calls, that type of thing. Now you're going to want to also click not just 571, but you're also going to want to click on whether it's an automatic aid or a mutual aid. All right, so depending on what that is, and then when you hit save, it's going to give you the same fields again, change it up. So now as you go through and you get into, we filled everything out the same way we did before, and now we jump into this aid given, your actions taken, this is where it's going to be a little different. What actions did you take? Did you go down there for what reason? And this is where we're going to say, you provided equipment, you've provided manpower, you provided apparatus, and you can give up to 3 on there. So a typical thing in this instance would be provide apparatus, provide manpower, both, and maybe provide equipment. All 3 of them would be a good solution there. So we're going to click on that, and then all the way down through. So get the ID on there, and now their FDID, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to click on their FDID, enter their state, and then the incident number, you're going to want to associate this with whatever incident that they ran on. So if they ran on a fire, you would want to associate this with that fire's incident number, if that makes sense. Because what that does is allows it to track that you came down to cover for them and help them because they were on that fire. And that's going to let ENFers know and let them know, hey, this is why they were here. This is why they were running fires, that type of thing. So again, it's that good data in and good data out thing. So if you need another second, Tom, I can jump into occupancies and show.
Yeah, do that, Chris, only because I've got to get the new password. Give me just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
It's one of those days.
That is. All right. So what we were talking about here is now once we've done reports, and if you're using the occupancy ID when you're typing in reports, when you click on, I probably did that too fast. So we're going to go home. We're going to go into the occupancy module. We're going to click there. And then I'm going to go to switch to map view right here in the top right. I'll make that bigger so everybody can see. And I'm going to switch to map view there. Now, we're a smaller department, so our maps may be going to look a little smaller than yours. But when I jump over to this, I apologize. Now, you see these little numbers here? Now, these little numbers are telling me how many calls I have in that area. So now as I start to zoom in, it's going to spread it out a little bit more. All right, and it's going to tell me how many calls I've run in certain locations within my city. So if I have an occupancy built, if I have an area built, this is telling me how many calls I've run in these areas. So if you're thinking about maybe where should I put a department, another station, hey, how many calls are we running in certain areas in the city? What's our response times, that type of thing, keeping everything in mind. And you want to justify, hey, we need a station right here central in the city. That's where ours is. This is why we need to stay right here. We run most of our calls right here. So where our station is, this is very, very good location for us. And this is what I'm talking about. And as long as you're using that occupancy ID, you're going to be able to associate those calls with that specific occupancy. So if you have an area in your jurisdiction, a commercial occupancy typically, in your jurisdiction, then you can actually use that occupancy ID when you're entering the addresses, and that's going to give you this really neat tool to where you're going to actually be able to jump in here and see how often you're running calls at that location, how often you're going to that location, how often you're in that area. Really neat tool. Again, as I zoom in too far, I'm getting a little bit more detailed. Now I get into this and you see it's gone away. I'd have to search it a little differently and run a report for that. But again, you've got to find that happy medium as you're zooming in, and it's going to see that general area. So just a quick side note on that, and a quick way of seeing that. And the heat map looks a little different just with your color maps and goes off the incidents, but we'll let Tom set you in. And hey, Tom, just interrupt me when you're done. I'm going to go ahead and move on. So
I'm ready to go. So you just, whenever you're ready to, I'll go ahead and you can make me the presenter, and I'll be ready to go. I'm ready to go.
All right. We're moving Tom on, and here you are. And
okay, can everybody see my screen? I'm hoping it's up.
Yeah, we can see it, Tom.
Okay, just you can see on the heat maps. Basically, it's one way to view the mapping option, the Google Map integration that we have, and what it allows you to do, it lets you see kind of like a weather map, a weather radar map, a temperature map, or a storm map, is that the concentration of calls are illustrated in some algorithm that then illustrates it graphically based on the number of calls in that particular area in a very general, broad sense, very similar like a traditional heat map showing temperature gradations, and then also like radar maps showing storms. So it gives you a nice, I guess, really, truly a bird's eye view of where your calls are concentrated within your jurisdiction, and a nice at-a-glance presentation to show. I see this, and Chris, you can chime in too. I see this as an opportunity to present decision makers a very easy to understand, easy to view overview of where your incidents are occurring. Now, this is just our demo account, so it doesn't have a lot of incidents, but it does have enough to show you how the different color gradations appear. Obviously, and I shouldn't say obviously because maybe it isn't, the red is the greater concentration of calls, and then it moves out to green, lesser concentration of calls. That's the heat map for incidents. Now I can also switch to the pin map, which is, those of you that do have the Google Map option, you probably are well aware of this. If I switch to pin map, it then just shows me kind of pinwheels and pins of where the types of where the incidents occurred. So you can see the number of calls were kind of concentrated in this area, and that's why it showed red where there's 18 calls. If I click on this pinwheel, it should zoom me in closer, and the red triangles indicate a fire, green indicate special duty or 500 series call, and then looks like on this particular address we had multiple calls. So as you zoom in, there are some limitations. If I left click, I can go in and take a look at that particular incident, and I can even, and because I'm zoomed in, it may not let me go to the bottom of the actual pop out here where it shows the ability to link to the call, but you can actually link to the actual call. Let me see if I can zoom out, if it'll show it to me. I'll scroll down. It could be just a quirk with my browser. And again, there is a limitation as you get zoomed in. Like even though I click the 6, because they're all clustered as a single incident, it doesn't allow me to break it out and go to each individual incident. Let me try one other call and see if it'll let me. There we go. That's what I was looking for, is the ability to edit it. So by clicking edit, it will take me directly to that incident to either edit it, or if it's completed, I can at least print out the details. So that's kind of a rundown. There's not a lot to discuss on the pin map or the heat map view, other than it's a graphic depiction of the concentration of calls in your jurisdiction. So the pin map should allows you to drill down into individual incidents or clusters of incidents, and the heat map gives you an overview on where you're running your traffic, where the concentration of traffic is in a broader sense geographically. So hope that makes sense. Again, images, we're firefighters. I know I like to learn hands-on and like to see things. So for me, this is a nice tool to have for presenting to department leaders and to decision makers, because they want to cut to the chase and they want to just see things. They don't want to have to go through in-depth analysis. I mean, they will, but again, when you're doing a presentation, you want them to easily see what's going on in your jurisdiction, and I think heat maps gives us that really great tool. So, Chris, I'll pass it back to you unless anybody has any questions, and I know we're getting right at the top of the hour here, so let me pass it back to you, and we'll see if anybody else has any questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. I kind of threw him out on the spot there.
No problem.
Keep him on his toes.
Chris, you know what you might want to do for the customers too is go to your administration module real quick as we wrap up, and show them how they can get a trial of. They don't have to call in anymore to get a trial. They can do a trial version of. Where is it? Maybe because you have maps. No. Upgrade Center.
Oh, it's in there.
It's for the third button over next to administration. It's a separate button there. They can get a Google Maps demo for 30 days. Looks like you've activated yours already. And did you just do that?
No, I did not.
Okay, so they can activate it, but what I recommend, especially for brand new customers, is wait till you have occupancies and incidents and hydrants in there, and then take a peek at how it looks in the Google Maps integration. This lets you know if you want to upgrade your account to that, but it's a pretty neat tool, real great tool. So that's
absolutely.
That's an administrator function. So if you don't have the administration button, just talk to someone in your department that does, and they can get that 30-day trial going, and you can kind of play with it and see what you think.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. We are at the top of the hour, so if you guys, those of you that need to leave, you guys leave. And one thing we'll do again is, and those of you that want to stick around, I can show you some reports, and we'll just run through a couple top 2, top 3 reports that kind of tie some of what we've been talking in together. All this information is all fine and well, what we're trying to do, but what's the importance of doing this, so thoroughly? And, what I can jump into is obviously a lot of your reports are in here within incidents, and you can do within your multi-record search, all calls, incomplete calls, complete, that type of thing. Check your ranges to see everything, and this is going to give you your layout there. Also, you can do a single record search if you actually know the date, and then you have your advanced search option. Once you get into your advanced search option, you can search a lot of different variables by shift, by apparatus, station, zone, and then your EMS searches, by social security number, any of the review, anything that you clicked on the PCR information where it was reviewed, requested, that type of thing. So these are where a lot of the information is done, your census tract, that type of stuff. Now there's another function here under the reports, and I'm going to show you one, and we'll put my department on the block right here, and we'll see how we did. So under my favorites, I have a report here that's average turnout time per shift for date range. And I'll give you the number for that here in a second. We're just going to say for the year here, 2014, create report. This is a nice thing, typically not quite for the year, but maybe for the response times, that type of thing, for the month or the quarter, how you choose to do that information. So now you can see some of this average turnout time and how long it's taken you guys to get out the door. You can see my fellow B shift, it's, they're really, really fast, or something's up on that. Actually, they're a lot of the incidents, a lot of the public service stuff that they do, being the inspection shift, and some of what they do, that's helping their numbers out a little bit more. So this is your average number, and it's just going to give you a quick glance of what's going on. There's quite a few reports that you can run on that, and quite a few things that really help you out. That's just one example on there. So if we go under the reports module, just click on home, jump on reports, open it up. Then we're under reports. Now we can click on incidents here, and we can see certain things that we want to run reports on. So a really cool thing that I've seen is we talked about those custom fields. So if you want to track something that maybe the system doesn't track for you real well, this custom fields report is really, really neat. So what I can do is say, find the one into our, per, for, that type of thing that's all within our help tab and can answer what these are. The best advice I can give you is find one that you like and then add it to your favorites so it's quick and easy to get to later on. So if we want to say, incident list per user defined field for date range, we can click on that one, and then we can run this report. And again, I can search it, pick multiple. I can use, pick multiple questions, or I can just pick one question, that type of thing. So say we want to use, that one's a newer one. We want to use this one. I can hit the plus sign. jump it on there. And then if I want to save that function, say you have 5 or 6 on here, I can hit save, the same as everything else within the function. So we're going to search all the custom fields. We'll just do it for and then all incident types, and then all stations, and create a report. And this is a rather large report, so it's going to take a minute to see. Right here it says answered no. Is this a gaming related call? Answered no. Now I can look at exactly how many times I've answered no on that one. So how often it's not gaming related. And I apologize for the system here. And I can go all the way through. You can see how often we're not running the gaming related calls. And I can search it all through that. And this is telling me this. And I can print this report and I can see it. And now you see it's answered yes. So the total times we've run calls that were not gaming related, 141. And now the answer is yes on that. Now I can go all the way down and I can see all the ones. And it's given me my incident number, you know, the date, the information, what it was, EMS call, that type of thing. And I can search everything there. And then once I get down to it, and again, depending on how many calls your department runs is how large this list is going to be. And we can go all the way down, and there it was. So 767 times the answer was yes to this question. So, you know, it's a really neat report to do. You print it out and find that page, and, you know, it can take you to those calls for justifications, and, you know, just search that on there, 767 times yes versus 511 times no, just some justification for you. So you see how it's an easy way to track that. And the number for this report right here is document ID 970. So if I typed in 970 here, it would take me to that report. So, and just like I said, brought me to that report. All right, I think that's it, and I'll hang out here for a few minutes in case anybody has any questions. Looks like we've lost quite a few of them, so I hope you guys stay safe and have a good day for those of you that are still on. And I'll hang out here for a few minutes. If you have questions, ask away, and we'll try to get them answered. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here today. I'm not seeing any more questions, so we'll go ahead and keep moving here. To schedule any training for your department, please contact training@emergencyreporting.com. Bob Burton's got his information on here if you wanted to contact him. Phone number, all of that information. And what I talked about before, for those of you that were on here, some of those job aids used today. I'm going to go ahead and show this. Give me a second. It's going to flip it over. And we'll let that sit on there for a few minutes. Those of you that want to write this information down, or those of you that want to get this later in the recording, screenshot it, however you want to do it, it's there for you. All right, I'm going to sign off here and wishing you all a very, very, very good and safe day. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.